Welcome to the Atlantic Perspectives podcast.
Hello everyone, and welcome to the White House in Europe with Maxime Loubet. In the previous episode, we left the US after the presidencies of Martin Van Buren, William Henry Harrison, and John Tyler. It was a period marked by economic crisis, the rise of the two-party system, and a growing debate about the country's territorial future. At the heart of that debate is a fundamental question. How far should the US expand? Since independence, the young republic has been growing rapidly. Louisiana was purchased from France, Florida was acquired from Spain, millions of Americans are moving westward. But in the mid-1840s, some political leaders go even further. They believe the US has a historic mission: to occupy the North American continent from one ocean to the other. That idea has a name: Manifest Destiny. And no president embodies that vision more than James Knox Polk. March 1845, Washington, D.C. James Polk takes the oath of office as the 11th President of the US. Just a few months earlier, very few Americans imagined he could win the presidential election. A former governor of Tennessee and a loyal follower of Andrew Jackson, Polk is not a major national figure. In fact, he emerges as a compromise candidate within the Democratic Party. But his campaign is built around a simple message: America must expand. To the south, to the west, and all the way to the Pacific. That promise appeals to a large part of the electorate. At the same time, a New York journalist named John O'Sullivan popularizes a phrase that will become famous: Manifest Destiny. According to this vision, the United States has been given an almost providential mission to spread its institutions, its liberty, and its civilization across the continent. Today, that idea may seem arrogant or imperialistic, but in the 1840s, it enjoys enormous support among people who are convinced that the country's future lies in the West. Polk arrives at the White House with an ambitious agenda: annex Texas, settle the Oregon question, acquire California, and lower tariffs. Unlike many presidents, he has very specific goals, and he intends to achieve them in a single term. In Europe, this new presidency is watched closely. American expansion could change the geopolitical balance in North America. The first major issue is Texas. This former Mexican province declared its independence in 1836. For several years, it has functioned as an independent republic. But its leaders want to join the US. Annexation is approved shortly before Polk enters the White House. For Mexico, this decision is unacceptable. The Mexican government has never fully recognized Texas' independence. It still considers the territory as a rebellious province. The crisis begins to deepen. But before tensions with Mexico explode, Polk must deal with another issue involving a major European power: the United Kingdom. The northwestern part of the continent includes a vast territory known as the Oregon Country. Today, this region covers several American states as well as part of Canada. For decades, Americans and Britons have claimed the territory at the same time. The issue is highly sensitive. The United Kingdom remains the world's leading power. Its navy rules the seas, its empire stretches across several continents. A war with Britain would represent a major risk for Washington. During the presidential campaign, some Democrats nevertheless call for hardline. The slogan 54-40 or fight becomes popular. It refers to the latitude of 54-40, which expansionists want as a border with the British possession. But Polk is more pragmatic than he appears. He quickly understands that a confrontation with London would be dangerous, especially since a conflict with Mexico is becoming increasingly likely. The United States cannot afford two wars at the same time. Negotiations therefore begin with the British government. In 1846, an agreement is finally reached. The border is set at the 49th parallel. To this day, there remains most of the border between the US and Canada in this region. The compromise does not fully satisfy either side, but it prevents war. More importantly, it illustrates an important evolution in transatlantic relations. After decades of tension, London and Washington showed that they can now settle certain disputes through diplomacy rather than force. This gradual stabilization becomes one of the foundations of the future special relationship between the two countries. While the Oregon question is settled peacefully, tensions with Mexico reach a breaking point. The main disagreement concerns the Texas border. The United States claims it lies along the Rio Grande. Mexico argues that it lies further north, in the Nueces River. Between the two lies a large disputed territory. Polk sends American troops into the region. In April 1846, Mexican soldiers clash with an American patrol. Several Americans are killed. The president declares that American blood has been shed on American soil. Congress votes for war, but that justification immediately sparks criticism. Some lawmakers accuse Polk of deliberately provoking the incident. A young congressman from Illinois named Abraham Lincoln even asked the president to identify the exact spot where the blood was shed. The controversy follows the war from beginning to end. Even today, many historians believe Polk had long been looking for a reason to acquire more Mexican territory. Militarily, the US quickly gains the advantage. American troops advance all the way to Mexico City. In September 1847, American forces occupied the Mexican capital. The war is essentially over. For Europeans, the conflict is a revelation. Many realize that the US is no longer just a regional republic. It now possesses an army capable of conducting large-scale military operations. And above all, it has a rapidly growing population and an increasingly dynamic economy. The Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo is signed in February 1848. Its consequences are enormous. Mexico cedes nearly half of its territory. The United States gains California, Nevada, Utah, and parts of Arizona, New Mexico, Colorado, and Wyoming. Never before has the US experienced such dramatic territorial expansion. Just days before the treaty is signed, an unexpected discovery is made in California. Gold is found near Sutter's Mill. The gold rush begins, and the American West enters a new era. From a European perspective, the Polk years mark a major turning point. The US has now become a continental power. The United Kingdom follows this development pragmatically. London understands that stopping American expansion will be difficult. Maintaining good commercial relations with Washington seems the wiser choice. France also watches these developments closely. The July monarchy of Louis Philippe is entering its final years. While Europe is shaken by political uprisings, the US continues its territorial expansion. Yet, this image of stability is misleading. Behind Polk's successes lies an explosive issue: slavery. Every newly acquired territory reopens the debate. Will future states be free states or slave states? The North and the South clash more and more fiercely over this question. Territorial expansion, which is supposed to strengthen the Union, begins instead to threaten its balance. But he fails to resolve the growing crisis. In reality, his territorial gains only postpone the problem while making it even worse. The tensions that will eventually lead to the Civil War grow significantly during his presidency. When Polk leaves the White House in March 1849, he has achieved almost every goal he set for himself. Oregon has been secured. Texas has been consolidated. California has been acquired. The U.S. now stretches from the Atlantic to the Pacific. Few presidents have been as effective in carrying out their agenda, but few have also left behind such a complex legacy. This spectacular expansion creates both opportunity and division. Just a few months after leaving office, Polk dies at the age of 53. Although his presidency lasts only one term, its impact is enormous. When he enters the White House, the US is still primarily a regional power. When he leaves, it has become a continental power. In the next episode, we will see how next presidents try to manage the consequences of this expansion, a difficult task, as the issue of slavery not directly threatens the future of the Union. Thank you for listening, and see you next time for another episode of The White House in Europe. Don't forget to subscribe and find all Atlantic Perspectives content on social media and at atlanticperspective.org. Music licensed via Epidemic Sound.